Right, welcome back, viewers, to another edition of Heads Up. In a couple of weeks since our last one, Goat. Good to have you back. And 2 weeks ago, it was a good day of racing and punting. With I know you were really keen on the Brumbies to beat the Hurricanes, and it was never in doubt with about half an hour to go, was it? So that was a good one.
Yeah, no, that was a nice win. I can't complain about that, Neil. Never easy tipping against the team that you're a fan of, but sometimes the head has to overrule the heart. So the Brumbies were good, and then they franked it again last week by beating the Chiefs. So be interesting to see what happens this week against the Crusaders. We've got some thoughts on that game, which we'll cover off later in the show. Bonnie Lass winning the Cambridge Breeders. That was a pretty special win for a big bunch of owners there, including one Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro and his wife Jan, and dressed in their yellow. They love racing and got a few horses, and Bonnie Lass is one of their favourites, I'm pretty sure. Gee, it was a top win too, wasn't it? It's got out, sat 3 wide in the open, had to get beaten from there, but just kicked and kept going. So, gee, she's a tough, willing mare, isn't she?
No, absolutely. And yeah, you got to love Pedro's yellow jacket and Jan's yellow dress. They're not hard to spot on the podium when they're collecting the prize, that's for sure. But full credit to Graham Richardson, Craig Grills, Brent Cooper, the syndicate manager. Nice to see wins like that go to a good bunch of people.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got some good racing coming up on the weekend. Hara and Rotorua. Rotorua Cup's one of our old favourite races. Not a strong field this year, but we've got a hot favourite and a $2 favourite in Cinerama. She looks the one, doesn't she? What do you reckon?
The Rotorua Cup, you think back to the Rotorua Cup, and I can remember being there, and it's absolutely teeming with rain, and it's a heavy 11, and the horses are winning by 10 lengths. But the weather this year suggests there'll be none of those conditions underfoot tomorrow. It'll be a pretty reasonable track for this time of the year, that's for sure. A soft 6 at this point in time. And I got a question mark on Cinerama over the 2,200 metre journey. I don't know if that's her best go, so I'm staying away from her, and I'm looking at a more proven stayer, a horse that actually has been backed on the fixed odds market. I see from 550 into 420, a horse called Leaderboard, number 7. I think with the strong tempo that Big Mike should set, it will set it up for Leaderboard, and I think his staying qualities will shine through late in the piece and maybe spoil Cinerama's farewell party.
Yeah, I have to agree with you too. Cinerama's maps to get back on the inner, and that's not the place to be there, is it? Although the pattern of racing there has changed in the last couple of seasons, I reckon. They don't tend to get right to the outside unless it's a really heavy track. So maybe that may not be such a negative being back on the inside, but at $2, I think Leaderboard, exactly why you explained, going to be close to the pace, good staying event, 53 kgs, the money coming on, everything points to it. So I have to agree with Leaderboard. So go Craig Grills, Diaco and Leaderboard. And at Hara, I've got some.
Hara, the feature race there is, of course, the Landmark Homes 2100, race 8 on the program. The open stayers and Cinerama's stablemate, Our Hail Mary, is, would you believe, an equal favourite with Wordsworth and Lincoln Star. So you got 3 $4 shots, a $4.50 shot, and a $5 shot. So it's a very compressed market. That's for sure. You've got one that you got a bit of a fancy for in this, Neil?
Yeah, well, I was pretty keen on Pep Talk at Wanganui, and I thought it was going to win top of the straight. It loomed up at the lead and got run down late. But she's been sort of getting rough passages before then, so I think drawn 1 should get a decent run. Small field, I think, deserves to win a race. So I'll go for Pep Talk. What are you going to go for?
Yeah, I hope Pep Talk's still a he. I hope he hasn't had a 6 change. The key to Pep Talk is the track conditions. If it stays a 6 or better, Pep Talk's alley. There is potential for maybe a bit of rain Saturday. If the track cut out to a 7 or an 8, you can tear your tickets up on Pep Talk. You won't be winning. So I wouldn't be backing him until you know the track conditions.
Yep.
he can definitely win on a, as I say, a 5 or a 6. But of course, I think it's got the most upside in this race is right down the bottom there, Kelly Coe. Very progressive horse in my mind, and she'll be hitting the line strongly, and I think she could win this. I know she's not well weighted based on her rating, but I think she's got enough upside. Smallish field, not really much tempo. Do you think in this race, Neil? What do you think? Wordsworth maybe leads?
Probably does. It's going to be a sort of a cat and mouse game, isn't it? Real race. But I agree with Kelly Coe. She's got to be a chance. The money came for it at Wanganui, didn't she? She more or less halved in price from memory. It went okay, but that was 28 days since her previous run. So weaker field, you think she's probably a good chance here. No, interesting small field race. So, yeah. Anything else you like there down there?
Again,
Good field,
track conditions dependent, but in the race 6 at Hara, they open 1400. If the rain comes, I very much like a horse called Amuse Moi, number 7, John O'Benner, Honey Wynyard, Lisa All Press Rides.
Yeah.
Cut in the track's the key to this horse. And with the cut in the track, I think that would rule out Nod of the Head, and it would make Meglier de Falcrest a concern 1400 on a wettish track. So you'd rule those two out. Just Ask Me doesn't have his blinkers on, so he won't be winning. Colorado Star, potentially. But yeah, there's enough negatives amongst some of the competition to suggest, for me, Amuse Moi is the one to beat in that race.
Yeah, no, I agree there too. No, good horse. Now, I just had a warning from Zoom that I've got 9 minutes and 14 seconds before the end of the meeting. I thought I'll upgrade it to the pro thing.
Yeah, 40
we'll do that no spec. Okay.
We can whip through it. We'll kick into a sports selection, shall we, Neil? And we're actually tipping against the team that got us the cash 2 weeks ago. We're going against the Brumbies. We're sticking with the Crusaders. They had a bit of an honesty session prior to their game against the Force. I think a few home truths were told, and I think every player was asked to step up, and the on-field performance last week suggested it worked the oracle, and I think that will continue. The Crusaders are a pretty classy side, as we know, and the Brumbies are missing a couple of key players. So I think the line is now out to 5.5, but I don't think that'll be enough in order for the Crusaders not to cover. So Crusaders minus 5.5, $1.87 is the best sports bet of the weekend by far, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Brumbies are playing well, but without those two key players, they're going to struggle, aren't they? So, yeah, and the Crusaders are be keen to win.
The Crusaders, we know the Crusaders form as well. I just think this is a trap game for the Brumbies, and the Crusaders are getting back to their, I guess, near their best again. So, yeah, a horse coming back into form versus a horse that's maybe peaked and might be on the downward slide, Neil. That's my theory.
Yeah, no. They have to start going down at some stage, don't they? So hopefully it's on the weekend. Right, last 2 weeks ago, the question was, or the answer was Burgundy, and the question was?
What was the stallion that won the not the Cracker Million, the Cambridge Breeder Stakes a few years ago? And it was Burgundy. 5 people got the right answer. We are going with number 4.
4. Andy, give you a big tick. We'll put your multi on tomorrow by noon tomorrow. So good luck there. Right.
This week's question. This week's question.
This week's question, yep. Far away.
Rotorua Cup, very easy one. I think we've used this one before, but we'll go again. Rotorua Cup, a horse called Indicator. Loved this race. How many times did Indicator win the Rotorua Cup? Text or email your answers through to Neil, and you're in the draw for a multi-bet.
Yeah, it was more than once too. 027 352 6402 or formpro at formpro.co.nz by, say, Tuesday night. Okay, quick bats and bouquets. An interesting thing about SPs.
We had a bit of a discussion a few weeks back about the SP product, the starting price product, which is, of course, you get the price as the race shuts, the fixed odds price as the race shuts. So if a horse drifts, rather than backing it early in the day at $6, if it closes at 9, you get 9. So there's some upside there if you think horses' prices will drift, and we know the vast majority of horses' prices do drift from their opening price. If you're going to multi up a few SP options, let's just say, we'll make it simple. You've got 4 $10 shots that you think they'll be about $10 shots on the SP. So you multi them up and you're thinking, I'll put on $10. So if they all won, you would collect 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 for your $10 if all 4 $10 shots also happen to win. So if you were to do that on the SP and the first 3 have won, and let's say they got to a $10 price, so you've effectively got 10,000 on the last one at $10. So with a TAB facing a liability of 100,000 on that race, you'd suggest they wouldn't be too generous with the SP price because they control that last price of your multi. So the theory is that if you're doing multis that have big collects like that, the last leg, don't make it an SP, do a fixed price. So the TAB can't sort of potentially keep your horse shorter to minimise their liability if it was to win. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense to those people that might play multis that way. So just a bit of feedback I had from a learned gentleman who shall remain nameless, but good feedback, I thought.
That's a good point, and could save someone or make someone a lot of money one day. So, and when it does, you know who the goat is, and I'll give you his email address. Do save yourself 50 grand. No, it's I found that something interesting. I didn't know when you have a bonus bet, if you put it on as an SP price and it comes second, third, or fourth, you don't get the bonus bet. It's got to be a final field bet. So that's something I didn't know. So pass that on. But no, racing's going well. Everything seems to be going pretty well. We're lucky to have racing going. A lot of people dropping down with COVID at the moment, riders, trainers, non-trainers, non-jockeys. So everyone keep healthy and look after yourselves. So anything else you want to add before we sign off? We've got about 2 minutes.
Yeah, we've got 3 minutes and 47 seconds according to my counter.
Oh, yep.
The synthetic track at Riccarton, Neil, I think you're quite chuffed with that because you tipped out the first ever winner and the track record holder for a time, obviously.
That's right. Yeah, track record holder. Yeah. Eulogy showed she won really well. Got a nice run and bolted it by a long way and opened up at 15s, came into 11. I know quite a few people backed it too. So that was nice. But I think the racing there seems pretty fair. Spoke to David Walsh and he said the feedback was good from trainers and riders and not too much kickback. And so it looks promising. So, and good to see they've got all the red markers out in the right places. Makes it easier if they're doing the sectional. So thanks to the track manager for that as well. Good racing. Nothing else?
One thing you don't think about as a punter about synthetic tracks is jockeys don't have to come in and wash all their gear because it's been covered in mud after each race. And so definitely the jockeys like it from that perspective, not having to clean their boots again and all that as they're covered in mud. So that's one definite positive. But there was a bit of a problem with kickback earlier in the piece, but that was well and truly rectified in time for the first official race day. So onwards and upwards with the synthetic track at Riccarton.
Yeah, and we've got about 2 minutes to go. So the Awapuni track, I know you know a bit about that, but how's that seem to be coming along? I know July is the target, but
I guess I haven't looked at it since when were the last races there, maybe 3 weeks ago. I wouldn't be saying it'll be ready by July, but I could be wrong. But I think it might be a bit longer than that before it's all up and running. But obviously the key is having it in place for next winter. And there's been quite a few meetings programmed, obviously, through the winter months next season for the synthetic. So, I don't think it's a major that if it's not ready on time in July. So, time will tell again. It's up to trainers if they decide whether it's suitable for their horses or not. So,
All right. Well, everyone have a good punting today. Matter, 11 races, early start. So we're doing this just before the first race. So good luck to everybody. Good punting. hope the Crusaders go well. And leaderboard, that'd be a nice multi actually. Might take that for Andy. Leaderboard at 420 into that point start. Be double his money. $80 for, or $160 for $20. I'll do that and post that actually. It's like a logical bet. Okay, everyone, good punting and have a great weekend.